Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we're honored to kick it off talking about Feed America First, who's doing so much good when it comes to hunger relief efforts. We're here with Mike Womack. He's the executive director of Feed America First. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. So as I mentioned, you're doing so much good. You cover a very wide spectrum when you talk about working with different organizations, but give us a little bit of history for Feed America First.
Yeah, Feed America First was birthed out of a Bible study. Our founder, Tom Henry, founded Feed America First in 2000. Tom came from the restaurant business, and coming out of the restaurant business and retiring, he realized there's a lot of waste. And he was thinking, okay, well, what can I do? So he started out of a pole barn in Savannah, Tennessee. And I think the first year they may have gave away a couple thousand pounds of food. And now this year we'll give away over 26 million pounds of food.
That's amazing. Talk about how it works, because as you mentioned, there is a volunteer side where you engage volunteers to go and pick up food. And so there's a waste savings in terms of the restaurants, as you mentioned, but now it's so much more than that. And then partnering with nonprofits to make sure that that food is delivered to those who need it. So talk about how it works in terms of the model.
Yeah, it's kind of multi-layered for us. We work with over 200 partner agencies that we work with. Our ideal role is we provide foods to those who are feeding the hungry. So we will do that in several ways. We'll partner with manufacturers and factories and things like that. They're either giving out close to date product, or maybe things that have been overproduced, things like that. And then on the local level, a lot of times we'll work with local restaurants that, for instance, a good way to put that, if you have a pizza place and maybe they produce too many pizzas, instead of throwing it away, they'll freeze them. And then the next day or say over the weekend, then on Monday, we or a partner of ours will go pick them up and then just, make sure they get to someone's household within that day.
Talk about the geographical spread, because based in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, but obviously now you cover a very wide spectrum and footprint.
Yeah, if you were to look at Murfreesboro and go out 250 miles, that's kind of our footprint. So we'll do Northern Kentucky, Northern Alabama, Northern Mississippi, Middle Tennessee. But we have got involved several times with, tornado relief or hurricane relief in Texas, Florida, North Carolina. But our mainstay is around 200 miles around Murfreesboro.
When you look at impact, stories of impact, and as you mentioned, you work through the partner organizations, but talk about some of the feedback that you receive, not only from those organizations, but ultimately from the individuals, the families who are served by the food. What does it mean to them?
Well, occasionally we get to do both. Yeah, our number one program is to give to these agencies that are feeding the hungry. We do some individual giveaways. Just to kind of give you an idea, we're going to be in Bowling Green on January 15th, partnered with the Corvette Museum and doing one up there for tornado relief. So we will actually get to meet some of the families that we get to serve. But typically the other model, we get to hear their stories. But one of the most heartbreaking and yet in your face stories that we've ever been told was a local ministry was giving away at a school, and at the school there was a little boy there and he was kind of downtrodden and upset, and the teacher went up to him and said, his name wasn't Johnny, but let's call him Johnny. Hey Johnny, are you okay today? Are you sick? He said, no, I'm not sick, I'm hungry. Well, Johnny, there's plenty of food around here, why aren't you eating? He said, it's my sister's day to eat. So they had to take turns eating, and it's a constant. In the world that we live in, there's not a food problem. It's a logistics problem. You've got to figure out, most of the food that we give away is donated. We do buy some food, but not a whole lot. But even the food that's donated, you have to get it from point A to point B. And that's where the cost comes in, because it costs a lot to transport food. And but it's an amazing thing to be part of and to watch. We always tell our volunteers, we have volunteers on Wednesday nights that will come and box food. Any food drive that we have volunteers to come and give away the food. The event I was talking about in Bowling Green, we'll probably have 100+ volunteers there. In that situation, they get to see the people they're handing to. But in the other events, we just have to encourage the people, say, look, we realize you may never meet the people these boxes go to, but the impact you're making could change generations, because not only are you giving them a hand up now, you're also teaching them to fish, and that they will take the same food. Maybe they have, we hear stories of families that get too much given to them, and instead of wasting it, they give it to someone else. So that's a fun thing that we get to be part of, to hear great stories like that.
Absolutely. Let's go back to, like you mentioned, the logistics problem. What does it mean for you as an organization when you talk about storage, delivery, especially around like frozen pizzas and things like that and produce? I'm thinking, the ability to have refrigeration is a really important key. So talk about the infrastructure on your end and what it takes to be able to bring all this to fruition.
Yeah, we're in right now. We're setting in a 20,000 square foot warehouse. It's all dry storage inside the warehouse at the moment. We use refrigerated trailers that will go anywhere from 15 below to 50 degrees in a given moment. So we've got 5 of those. So it gives us an opportunity to house about 120 pallets worth of food. Inside our warehouse, we can house about 300 pallet spots of food. And the good thing about the trailers, they can either be cooler or frozen, but we're also on the doorstep of adding a drive-in cooler and freezer to our warehouse. It'll be about $1 million project for us to take on, but it will radically change what we can do. Our freezer capacity then will go to about 150 pallets just for freezer and about 350 pallets for refrigeration. So it will radically change our ability to feed our hungry neighbors.
What are some of the things that you look at in terms of grading success? Because obviously it's, the pounds of food, it's the number of organizations, ultimately the number of families, which is over 35,000, individuals impacted. But how do you overall look at success? What does that mean for you?
Well, I mean, ideally, I'm a pastor as well, so I wear that pastoral hat as well. And sometimes you don't get to see the results, and it's hard to put value on something that you can't see. But the stories that we get, our communication team will go out and interview our partner agencies, and we'll hear the stories and things like that. Obviously, when we know that this year we're going to give away 26 million pounds of food, we realize the impact that that's going to make. But we get a lot of letters. We get a lot of, we want people to correspond with us on social media. I think a lot of times when you're thinking about a nonprofit, you think about, well, they just want you to chat back and forth with them when you have something for them. Well, that's not true. I mean, a lot of times when people give us the monetary gifts, obviously we need those and we want those, but we also want people to tell us their stories. We were involved with a thing this past year called Life Fest. That is a Christian music festival that was in Bon Aqua, Tennessee, and be able to hear people's stories there that maybe they didn't receive food from us, but they were part of the giving food away for us. So sometimes the most awesome way for us to be able to judge the success of it, obviously, is the poundage that we're giving away, but also the stories that we get told by either the partner agencies we work with or the individuals.
How has this changed you personally in terms of your outlook, both as just an individual, but as a pastor as well? How has this work changed you?
Well, I came here 10 years ago. I came here to supplement a small church I was working in, and I was just going to be a driver. I had no idea God's plan and that he would keep me 10 years and put me in the position that I'm in. There's not a day goes by that myself or any of the team here walks through this warehouse and is like, I can't believe that I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm compensated to do it. It is an amazing thing to be part of. Not one person that we have here on staff has ever come to us without being a volunteer first. So, and that's not really like a written rule. It's just happened that way. So we kind of buy into the mission first, and then God seems to provide the opportunity for us to make a living doing it.
How can the community help? Because obviously, there's plenty of ways I think that we can get engaged, but start listing off some of the ways we can help.
Well, I mean, obviously the one that we always look at, the one that everybody thinks about is, how do I give? And obviously you can go to feedamericafirst.com and hit donate. There's also, ways to do that is, if you come to our warehouse and things like that. I mean, obviously money is the big thing, but I want to do a shout on that real quick. For every dollar that we receive, 15 meals go out of that dollar, which is mind blowing to me, that the partnerships and things that we've got set up can do that. And also out of that dollar, we're a 98.2 company. So 98 cents out of that dollar that you give us goes to the mission, not overhead. So only 2 cents goes to the overhead, which also speaks to our volunteers, because there's 8 people on staff. How does 8 people give away 26 million pounds of food? A, God. B, it's our volunteers. So we can't ever have enough volunteers. Just go ahead and shout out this January 8th, which will be on us before you know it. We'll have an event here at the warehouse, boxing up over 1,000 boxes of food to feed 1,000 families at that Bowling Green event we're going to do on the 15th. And there's always those opportunities to engage. You can do team building events here. Your youth group can come on Wednesday night. Your church group can come on Wednesday nights. The third Thursday of every month, every Thursday we're doing food drops somewhere. We're in Clarksville, Tennessee. We're in Savannah, Tennessee. We're in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Cookeville, Tennessee, Huntsville, Alabama, Pulaski, Tennessee. All those dates, all those opportunities are times for people that can come and can volunteer. Maybe they don't have the financial means to be able to give, but they can give their time. Well, that's just as important to us as the financial means.
Yeah. And it's also too, to your point, by being able to physically serve, you are seeing the mission manifest at the same time. That's where the heartstring gets pulled in and realize, okay, wow, look at this in terms of the power of transformation that you're able to provide for these families and individuals served. At the same time, how you can play a physical role in that. So I agree, the volunteer aspect and inviting coworkers and family and friends to participate in that as a group activity is a huge opportunity to build those relationships, but to further the mission, obviously, of what you're doing. Talk about, there's a big event coming up, and I know this radio show has kind of a common theme throughout it with the different guests, but you have Dancing with the Nashville Stars. And so give us a little bit of a plug or a teaser on that event.
Dancing with the Nashville Stars for us has been our go-to. It's been our biggest fundraiser for the last 10 years. If it hadn't been there, then I'm not sure Feed America First will still be here. Of course, obviously, it's based off of the TV show. We weren't sure how well it would go 10 years ago, and it's just boomed every year. It's just been a great event. Well, this year's a little special. This year's a little special because it's the 10th year. It was supposed to be last year. Of course, the pandemic kind of got in the way, like it has a lot of things. But this year will be a 10th year, and we wanted to do a night of champions. Well, the way it ended up working out, we had 2 champions come forward, and it's our largest winner of all time, Dr. David Kemp out of Franklin. And then our second largest of all time, Sherry Hammond's also out of the Franklin, Brentwood area. And they're going head to head. Yes, they're competitors, and they both want to win. And I love that of them. I want them to be competitive, but they also realize the more they raise, the more families get fed. It's a fun night. It's a great night. It's at the factory in Franklin. It's on February 15th this year. It's just going to be a night of fun. It's going to be a night of passion. You'll hear more about the story. Good eats, good food that night. But in the end, regardless of who wins, the hungry families around us are the ones that are the winners.
Absolutely. How can we participate in that event? So how can we either sponsorships, tickets, how can we participate?
Well, if you go onto our website at feedamericafirst.com, all over it, you're going to see plugs for Dancing with the Nashville Stars. And what we've done is we've broken up our former dancers, the ones that have won in the past or just participated in the past, our board members and our staff, and we've put them on either Team Sherry's side or Team David's side. And so you can go to our website and you can do the same thing. You can vote for either Dr. David Kemp or you can or vote for Sherry Hammonds and or Hammond, sorry. And that's the easiest way to do it. It's just feedamericafirst.com/ Sherry Hammond or / David Kemp, and then it will pop up. It'll be a PayPal thing that you can just go in, and every single dollar counts. We've seen year after year where people are just separated. Every dollar is a vote, and sometimes it's just a few dollars that separates the winners and the there's no losers, maybe just second place.
Well, and to your point, I mean, it's all for a higher purpose. And so that's the whole point, is being able to raise money and support the mission and the efforts and the impact that you're making through Feed America First. Give me one more thing that you wish everyone knew about Feed America First.
That it is so easy to make a difference in your world. Hunger is sneaky. And a lot of people think, I don't know anyone that's hungry. But if you would look in the little cul-de-sac that you live in or the street you live in, you would be surprised that there's grandparents on that road that are making a decision whether to buy food or medicine. Or there's a single mom or a single dad there that are having to make tough decisions, and you may not see it on their face, but hunger's sneaky and it'll sneak right in. We saw it through the pandemic. We saw people that had to, that needed help that have never asked for help. Don't let pride keep you from someone helping you. It is not a handout. It is a hand up. And then you get the opportunity to pass the blessing on.
Wrap up once again with contact information. You mentioned it throughout, but website, social media, where do we go to learn more?
FeedAmericaFirst.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram, and we are now on TikTok. So any of those, you can find it under FeedAmericaFirst.com.
Well, Mike, greatly appreciate all you and your amazing team are doing, and all of your volunteers as well. So thank you very much. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Merry Christmas.